Hello, 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 hello. For those of you joining me live, do the courtesy of letting me know that audio and video is hopefully slightly higher quality than LevelUp. If you guys haven't checked out Ask Evie's live stream going through just some kind of discussion and reactions to LevelUp, be sure to check that out. In this live stream, I'm going to be talking all about what actually happened. We're going to go through each session, starting at the end and going to the beginning. So we're going to give you the big announcement first, because forget about watch time. I want you to get what you came for. And then we're going to go through each session and give you kind of the recap so you didn't feel like you missed anything if you were not attending LevelUp. So if you guys are here in the comments, be sure to say hi and give me that audio and visual check. Hello, hello. I see some familiar faces here. Hey, Cameron, as always, good to see you. Miriam, good to see you here. It looks like we've got Clive as well joining us. New fan, always welcome. I'll have your question pop or your comment pop up as soon as it loads here. We are going to dive in with the end, as I promised. So in the comments, I'd love to hear how many of you have actually attended the Level Up session today. If you did, just leave a comment in the chat and let me know that, yes, I attended and what your takeaways are, because I'm going to give you the play-by-play like I suggested, but I have some thoughts and you're going to see a lot of those thoughts here for every single session. But before I bias you, I'd love to hear what your takeaways were. So go ahead and leave that in the chat. I see some new folks coming in. Clive, there you are. You're finally in my system here. Cody, good to see you. Clive, thank you for the sound check. And oh, good to see you again. Hey, Barbara and Sean. All right, so we are going to dive in and I'm going to share my screen over here. Again, hopefully the quality is a little bit better than the live stream today. I'm just going to go through, first of all, our takeaways. Now let's compact some of these, not to get us too excited first. So the first takeaway of this Level Up conference is be nice, we're new at this. So the Level Up conference, it started this morning. It went through the entirety of the day. They really tried. And there were definitely folks that did a great job. Holly, who is, I think, the head coach at ClickUp, she just did a really good job coordinating everything. I call her out later on in this walkthrough as kind of having that camp counselor enthusiasm, which I think was really needed for the overall flow of the event. They were right on schedule, which is really important. The moderation and actual interactions of the event were poor. So I did have some questions I tried to get through to get you guys some insights today for the channel. Unfortunately, none of them made the cut. So yeah, I think many of us will find that most of the questions that were answered were very softball questions, and I'll talk through those in detail. And overall, the targeting of the event was super vague. It wasn't clear who the event was for, and in that way, the actual sequence of events, the sessions that happened, you'll find as I go through them, they're all over the place. And I wish I could say, hey, stay for session 3, 4, and 5. It'll be applicable to you, but they really are all over the place as I go through what was covered in each session. So if you're really curious, stay for all of it. But it really was kind of a ping pong of target audience for each session. Okay, takeaway number 2 is they're really, really sorry for Giphy. And I promise I'm going to tell you the big exciting news here at the end. But there was a lot of time throughout every single session, especially the ones where Zeb was actually on the screen, talking about how they were, it almost felt like they had, a drinking game, starting with the words reliability, speed, existing features. Again and again, they kept pounding home that they're not going to focus on new features, although they kind of are, but they kind of aren't, because I think they really heard the feedback from the Giphy release and some of the frustration that came with not having a nice mobile app, but at the same time, seeing light and I thought very fun features like Giphy be released. Besides that, they really reiterated the importance of enterprise level features like reliability and speed, which I know many of us have been talking about, but when we're thinking about an enterprise client, which is going to be a theme as I go through the recap today, those are the features that they're going to care about: permissions, reliability, speed, flexibility, being able to lock things down. Those values, I felt like they were keyword stuffing throughout the entire presentation. So just to, we're just going to dive into the third one here. There's 4 takeaways, and we're going to dive into each session if you're joining us live. Hey, Louise, good to have you here. And Darby, sorry. Yes, it was fine. More about marketing. Tough to view. Oh, so true. I'll try to show you guys as we go through here. I have some screenshots. I tried to take some screen captures, and actually I was planning on video recording short clips to show you guys here in the recap. Didn't get explicit permission from ClickUp to do those. And in fact, it didn't matter because the video quality was so low, you wouldn't have been able to see anything. But I do have a few screenshots of the stuff that's coming up here. So takeaway number 3 is we are going enterprise. At least from my perspective, the content of each talk was so focused on ClickUp transitioning to be the enterprise solution, having that bottom-up growth from being the tool that's used by small teams to the tools that used by the larger teams. They talked a lot about unbundling and rebundling, organic growth, bottom-up growth, and basically they kept relating the growth of ClickUp in the 2021 roadmap back to kind of becoming the Office suite of the future. So that has some interesting implications moving on here. And what else do we have going on here? This came up again and again as we went through, pushing database use cases. They pushed their coaching program that ClickUp has now started of some in-house, basically customer support, customer success folks that are part of the enterprise sales pitch, if you will. I think the head of sales was featured in one of the sessions. A lot of enterprise level features were being highlighted throughout this, including, and this is your first of one of the flashy new features, phone support and 24/7 real-time support are coming to ClickUp in 2021. We've been promised it in multiple ways throughout the presentation, so I do have faith it'll actually happen, but that is a big shift from the current live chat that takes 8, 12, 20 hours. They also, another indication that we're going enterprise is flashy guests. There was a session with Neil Patel, which I'll actually go through here, as well as, let's go through where that session actually was. But we had a session with Neil Patel in there, and it just felt like it was, again, keyword stuffing, drawing in a big attraction for that enterprise client who's looking to see, is ClickUp serious? And it didn't have anything to do with ClickUp, and it wasn't really telling you anything you couldn't read in a blog. So it was there. And yeah, all the Qs, all the Q&A, all the questions that Zeb chose to answer and seemed really excited about answering related to enterprise focuses. So it was really interesting. So to Anne's point, do they want to leave small customers behind? Like I said, when I was kind of talking through this, none of the questions that I tried to ask or anyone I saw tried to ask actually got through. The only questions that seemed to get through the moderators, which there was only a few, were very, very softball. Like, what's your favorite feature? Or Zeb, why do you have funny shirts? Because we haven't heard that joke enough. So no meaningful questions came through. And I think this question would have been a really good one to hear. I can almost anticipate the response because this has been asked a few different times on podcasts and the interviews that I've heard with members of the ClickUp team. And the answer is always something along the lines of, we're not leaving small customers behind. We're always going to be dedicated to our users. But if we listen not to what they say, but what they're doing and the implications of some of the actions and the things that they seem really excited about developing, I think what we're probably going to see is more and more new features that directly serve the enterprise client and will eventually dribble down to unlimited in business. I think our free plan is probably going to be pretty locked in with the feature set that it is now. And we're going to see more and more folks needing to be on a paid plan to use ClickUp effectively. I don't think they'll ever leave small users behind. But the reason that they started with small users is that was their edge into the marketplace. And I think we're going to become less important. And in, as much of a democracy as Canny is, we're going to start being outweighed by signed contracts with large enterprises who want them to develop certain features for a contract for 10,000 employees to be sold. I'm not sure we'd be surprised. It's not surprising, but yeah. Ooh, good point from Louise here. Xero went that way to their detriment. You're going to hear a few moves that are being contemplated that remind you of some other tech things that don't sound so exciting. So yeah, thank you for adding that. So the final takeaway is enterprise doesn't mean slow. So the final piece, which I'll jump to right after this, is that ClickUp ended up this event exactly as we expected, announcing every single new feature that we already expected them to release. There was one big surprise for me, but every other one was already listed on their original website. So if you guys have been following me in the Facebook group, which hopefully many of you guys are in the Facebook group, you saw that I posted in processdriven.co/group. I posted in that Facebook group and I said, hey guys, here's the list of things that ClickUp says it's going to announce in this LevelUp feature. Plus, there's a big surprise. What do you think the big surprise is? And then a few days later, they actually revised that website, got rid of all the things, and just said there's a surprise announcement. So it turns out the information that they gave when they originally published the page was the big announcement. So there's not too much exciting, but I will go through them one by one here next up. But yes, overwhelmingly soothing the concerns of smaller users with a lot of talk about core values. And they did not want to give any kind of inclination that they were going to stop being fast and nimble and that they're going to stop iterating. Good question from Rabia here. What is an enterprise client? I'm sure someone in the comments is going to give a more succinct answer, but for me, this just means anyone who's on the enterprise plan of ClickUp. On most tools, enterprise means something like, I would think 100 employees or greater. In ClickUp, really, you could jump on the enterprise plan with as little as 15 people, and it might make sense because ClickUp's enterprise plan still houses so many important features that I think comparable tools would probably have on a traditionally priced plan. So long story short, big. Just replace enterprise with big and paying more money. Enterprise plans, I think, maybe I shouldn't say the price, but significantly more expensive than the paid plans of ClickUp. Luis has a great answer there as well. All right, so let's jump up and I'm going to show you some of these releases. I've got every single session here outlined. The link is actually in the description below this video if you actually want to go through my notes here. I hope that they're not too, crazy because I was typing these as the day went on and it was rapid fire. So the last session was closing with Zeb, and this is where we actually started breaking down the big announcements, really part 2 of the announcements where we talked about the mobile app. So they started off this presentation presenting ClickUp version 1, which was the old purple, if you know the icon, the purple mobile app, and it was fully native, it was fast, but it was ClickUp 1.0. Then they talked about the current ClickUp mobile app, which, as you can see, has a few more cons than it does pros. And finally, they started talking about how they're going to be using Flutter to house the new mobile app. And here's the punchline, guys. You can skip right to this. The mobile apps are coming next week. Yeah, next week. So I believe at the end of the session, he was saying that it was already approved by the App Store and Apple. I don't know if he specifically addressed the Android Play Store, but the apps are coming out next week, and the iPad optimized versions are coming in Q1 of 2020. Now, this is ClickUp. So remember, all these dates are big old asterisk. They're very maybe skewed by optimism, but I do believe the next week release, that makes sense to me, and we should see that coming out. Some of the other features in this new mobile app are going to be full task usability. And I don't know if I have a good screenshot of the mobile app because it was just, as you can see here, this was a full slide and it was still barely legible. I don't have a good screenshot of what this task or what this new mockup looks like because I wasn't able to see it. So you're going to need to check that replay. I have the link, I believe, actually in the show notes here, which are, again, they're actually linked below this video. But the features of this new mobile app include faster speed, like 10 times faster speed, task usability completely. So you'll be able to do everything that you can do on the web version in the mobile version. One of the things that he also talked about was that all of the features in the web app will be in the mobile app, which should be fully native and mobile first. And basically, all that fancy words basically means that you will actually have a mobile app that works. And I'm hoping is going to be competitive with the mobile app that we're used to seeing on things like Asana. So that's that. New notification function is actually a really exciting little element that he snuck in there at the last second when talking about this mobile app. And basically, if you can picture this with me, and I wish I had the time to grab a screenshot of this as we were going through, but now when you go into your notifications, you know how there's kind of the new activity at the top and it refreshes and shows you new changes, right, in the notifications? This new version of the mobile app seems to be including notifications in every area of ClickUp. Does that make sense? So like if you go into a task, you'll see a new activity at the top of that task, letting you know there's a new comment for you over in the activity side. To me, that was a really exciting improvement versus having to check all of your notifications over in that notifications side of things. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like I already said here, the iPad optimized version is coming out in Q1 2020. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that move to Q2 2020, but this again feeds into that enterprise argument, and it relates to a really big, kind of for me, shocking feature that I'm going to cover next here, which is ClickUp as a database, which is a huge, shocking theme that came up earlier in the event. Finally, they did talk about having this become an annual event. So if you guys weren't able to watch the live stream, they're talking about having this be a live event in person in San Diego in the future. So that's interesting. And thank you, Chrono and Clive, for the correction. 2021, we're not that exciting. So we'll just pop over here and change that while we're sitting here. The beauty of ClickUp Docs. And I just want to shout out one of the comments that came from the chat. Holly was the member of ClickUp who was the MC of the day, and she did a fantastic job coordinating a very difficult and complex summit when it was their first time doing it. So stay with me. We're going to go into the product vision where there's a little bit more meat of the stuff that I just told you here. So this was all about the mobile app and what's coming up next week. That's the big surprise announcement. Mobile app next week. Moving on, let's go through the other exciting announcements, because I actually found this one a little bit more surprising, more shocking, because I think we all expected the mobile app by this point. So we'll just go through it one by one. This session started much like the other ones with a very self-soothing fireside chat style. We're not going anywhere. We care about our customers. There was a lot of talk about core values during this productivity summit, which was a little strange, but I think it's anticipating Anne's question earlier. I think they were kind of anticipating that as they started talking about these enterprise features. So I think that's one of the reasons that we saw that come up. They doubled down on the one app to replace them all mantra in this 2021 vision. Now, I'm not going to try to put words in their mouth because I just watched the replay for the exact words that Zeb used to describe. But the one thing that came up again and again, which I talked about earlier, which I know is hard to see here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to try to blow up that really blurry image in hopes that you're able to see it a little bit better there. I don't know if that's at all visible. Sorry, it's blurry on my end too. And it was blurry when it was presented. But they talked about this idea of Office Suite being a bundle, right? And then it was unbundled and became a hodgepodge of different tools that are connected together, but not directly. And then we started to see things bundle back together. And now this whole vision is the new Office Suite of the future is what ClickUp is going to be. And rather than, as I've been talking about on the channel, I've been wishing that ClickUp would just change their motto to be the one app to connect them all. I've been petitioning for this for a long time. But ClickUp in this summit doubled down on replace them all, and they expanded what they mean by that. In this product vision, they are looking to disconnect ClickUp from tasks. Just let that sink in. Tasks are the center of ClickUp right now, and they did say that tasks are always going to be what they want to be best at doing. But ClickUp will soon, in their vision here, be more of a true database, which I lectured a lot about how it's not. You will have the option from the screenshots I've seen and the stuff that they were saying to actually make a task truly equal to another type of data set. It could be a person. It could be a phone number. It could be a contact phone number, kind of the same thing. But the idea is that you wouldn't, you don't need to have a task equal a task anymore, basically separating that whole bias of being a task management system and instead making ClickUp truly competitive in some ways with Airtable and even, go figure, more of the enterprise solutions like a customizable Salesforce. So this to me was the big shocker. And I don't know if anyone else is like, let me know in the comments here. Do you guys find that surprising? Is this just me that was completely blindsided by this? Because they talked about it earlier in the session. And then during this one, they were like, bam, we're just going to separate the tasks. It was extremely hard to see any of the screenshots. There's actually an image below here. But as blurry as that is for you, it's even blurrier when you look at it closer. They actually demonstrated building ClickUp as a true CRM with not just a task equaling a person, but also email inside ClickUp. So all this stuff becomes possible when we no longer have a task associated with an assignee and a due date. In the screenshot that I saw, which again was super hard to read, I did not see a due date field on a task, meaning, and I hope this isn't too geeky, but that truly means we're no longer having a task management system. We can start thinking of ClickUp as a little bit more competitive with Notion. Now, is that going to be something that's going to be available off of the enterprise plan? This is where the wet blanket starts to hit. But overall, I agree with you, Jeremy. This is exciting. I wouldn't build that CRM yet unless you're planning on upgrading to enterprise, because I'm not quite sure whether it's going to reach down to the rest of us, but maybe it's the time to upgrade to enterprise. So some of the other features here, this is one I've been predicting for a while, so I'm glad it came to be. I feel a little bit like validated here. But home and inbox. This is a screenshot of the mock-up, which again is almost impossible to read, but I'm going to try my best to show you what it looks like here. See if this works for you guys. Zoom in. I'll try my best. It's super blurry, but this is the new home view that was premiered during LevelUp. And I wish it was clearer. Look out for the replay where it will be. Here's home. Locations, tasks, what we're seeing here, design, mind map, it looks like, my work, lineup. This to me is a dashboard. And I just talked about it on Ask Evie's live stream earlier today, but I've been talking for a while about how I imagine that dashboards and home are going to be combined. Well, I never imagined that home, inbox, and dashboards would be combined. I'm very excited about this prospect because right now I find home view and inbox pretty much unusable. But this new workflow and also thinking about email being in ClickUp, imagine email is a widget, perhaps. We can start having our own customizable home Whether it's personal or team is yet to be seen, but this could be really, really impactful for making dashboards a lot more than just a place to report, making a dashboard really an HQ. So I just want to read some of the comments that are coming in now. If you guys have thoughts on this, let me know, because there's more. This is not done yet. I'm going to go through the other features that came through here, but that's the main ones for right now. So Jeremy says, I think they'll have to change how editable, customizable the status fields are. Oh, Jeremy, stay tuned. There's something big changing with those too. And Rabia says, yes, and I'm not sure I like it. It's their building block. I think she's referring to tasks here, switching from tasks and making them just more general, kind of like the relational databases and the just databases you're able to build in Notion. I do agree. It's going to introduce a lot of complexity, but what I think we're probably going to see is this is going to be a ClickUp. That's pretty much the answer to any time we're worried about something being too complex. It's going to be a ClickUp. So I think it'll probably be toggled on or off. And I would almost imagine it saying like only tasks or not only tasks, or freestyle maybe as the ClickUp. Yes, so thank you for that one. What do you guys think? I'm going to keep going here, but I want to hear from the rest of you. Of these initial pieces, home and inbox being combined, no longer being just tasks, enterprise focus. I mean, are many of you guys enterprise users so far? Let me know in the comments here, because I want to kind of get a sense on where we're going if you want to dive in deeper into any of these. So I'll look out for that. As I wait, I'll look for some comments to come in. Let's talk about goals, because those are changing too. In this new version, goals V2 are going to actually become, it seemed to me, more like a portfolio, which we have been dying for a filterable, a dynamic portfolio widget in ClickUp. I've been dying at least. And now it looks like the new version of goals is going to be what we've all been kind of looking for anyway. The idea of having our tasks relate to goals and not have them in these separate sections that don't actually talk to each other at all. I think that's going to be really exciting. I couldn't get a good screenshot of this one because, again, it was super blurry and super fast. But for those of you who are looking to track your big picture goals, which I know is the members of ClickUp, those of you who are in my learning community, you guys, there's been a lot of questions recently about how to connect big picture goals back to ClickUp. I think this is your answer. I'm trying to remember the exact date, but all of the things that I'm telling you right here are 2021. Thank you guys for correcting me last time. 2021, like Clive says here, 2021 objectives. So things that we are expecting in the next year. So some good questions come in. Let's just take a water break and read these here. So Jeremy's reframe here, which I think is really effective, is rather than thinking of things as tasks, think of them as items. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Records even. Airtable and Notion do this pretty easily. I don't imagine it'll be a hard shift for us, but it is kind of a terminology that we've got baked in. Barbara says, do you think ClickUp could replace the use of Dubsado in 2021? Barbara, I have some big hesitations because I didn't hear anything today, and this is a bit of a teaser. There was nothing today about time tracking, invoicing. There was email, but nothing about time tracking or invoicing. And I think those are the two big features, including a better forms, maybe so the three features that I think you'd really need in order to somewhat replace Dubsado. I also think while ClickUp's going to be releasing email, and I think I have a good screenshot for you guys coming up here in one of these sessions where they talked about the email. While email is coming, it's not going to be close to Dubsado's workflow feature, at least for the near future, not something that I would trust. It seems like more of a aggregator for your email and, you know, the ability to send email from ClickUp and not so much that workflow automation, although I'm sure eventually the goal is to get it supported by ClickUp automation. So in terms of replacing Dubsado, not sure. Add a breakdown is all about email. Yeah, wait, that screenshot's coming up. I think it was, actually it's in this later in this session here. So just a few more thoughts here. Kai says email, calendar, note, and inbox is super exciting. All three pillars of productivity in one page. I agree, especially with the new events in ClickUp feature that a video is coming out on Friday about. Reliability, I'm hoping that the changes eliminate the refresh needed issues. Oh, so much, so much. All right, so let's dive back into this, guys, and let's keep talking about new features because there's still more. Here's the big one that I think is going to address what Jeremy was talking about, speed improvements. Speed improvements and debugging. There have been a lot of talk. I said at the very beginning that enterprise level things are mostly around reliability, backups, control, safety, the stuff that's going to satisfy a CTO. This is one of those times where an enterprise level feature, it dilutes very well to the rest of us. So those of us on the business unlimited free plan having speed improvements and seeing them do a major scale up of their internal team for things that actually improve the performance of the system, that helps all of us. So I do think we're going to see a lot of improvements on the speed and overall quality of the system as a benefit of us freeloading on the enterprise clients who are funding the development of ClickUp in 2021, as far as I'm concerned. So that's just again, a lot of this stuff is my unofficial interpretation. I hope this is helpful for you guys and not just rambling. But let's keep going. So again, reliability going to be improved. One change on that front, which I thought was interesting from a business perspective, is ClickUp itself is rearranging a little bit to have dedicated teams per core feature. Now, they didn't go into detail on this, but I have a hunch that this means we're going to have a dedicated maintenance and support team for each core feature in ClickUp. And for those of us who have experienced some of the bugs in, say, time tracking or dashboards or pretty much everything recently, when you contact ClickUp Support, which they call out several times as being a core tenet of their customer service, ClickUp Support, I've contacted ClickUp Support for myself and clients countless times. I would not qualify ClickUp Support as good, industry leading, or best. I would give it a B-, C+, they're A for effort, but C for execution. And I think what we're going to see here with having dedicated development teams, perhaps even customer support teams, specializing in certain feature sets, we should see less bugs, hopefully. And this was mostly talking about the development side of things, but I hope we're going to see more stable features with quicker bug fixes when the bugs do inevitably come up. Speaking of bugs, there's going to be 100% coverage on an automated way to check for bugs. I will not try to butcher the explanation of this, but this makes sense to me in terms of many of us can relate with our own systems. There's always something breaking, and having an automated way to kind of scrape that information out and anticipate when bugs are going to happen with whether it's artificial intelligence or predictive analytics or however they have it modeled, to be able to have less bugs is something that we all want. And once again, I think we can probably thank our enterprise features for this. Now, I've been talking for a while. Quick pause for water. Let me know what you guys think on these initial pieces here. It looks like we've got a lot of folks here on the business plan. Anne's on the business plan. I think Jeremy said earlier he's on the business plan. Robbie's on the business plan as well. So we've got a lot of folks here on the smaller plans. Let's all thank our enterprise overlords for helping us get a much better tool without us having to pay for it. Yay for subsidies. We're going to transition here to the other round of new features. So I've been talking about a lot so far, but we're not even done yet. After I go through this, I'm going to flip over to actually going through the other events of the day, which if you haven't gathered are not nearly as action-packed as this one, but there is some good stuff. So we'll probably be talking for a while here. Okay, Jeremy's about to be friends with a lot of ClickUp employees on LinkedIn. Scope them out, Jeremy. Let us know. All right. So Brian took over at this point, and if you guys want to see these notes that I'm going through here, they're actually in the comments below this video. They're my ad-lib notes with some screenshots, and they're blurry, and I hope they help you. So if you want to see what I'm seeing here in all their blurry goodness, go ahead. But Brian Shen took over. He's the lead product manager at ClickUp, and he went through the 2021 themes, the big initiatives. So none of the stuff I talked about now was really the big initiatives. First of all, relationships. Okay, so this is that whole task not being a task thing anymore. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see. Throughout the show today, they kept talking about how task doesn't have to be a task. And me sitting there thinking about ClickUp as it is today, all I could think of how misleading that is, because a task is very much a task today. When you create a task as anything other than a task, such as making an HR directory, which I've done, right? It happens. You're cluttering up the system because every single task you create has a bunch of preloaded elements like due dates, tags, assignees that you wouldn't need if you were truly building a directory. And so this feature that they kept promoting, I felt really uncertain about. But lo and behold, they're actually planning on changing, like we talked about earlier in this live stream, tasks to what Jeremy aptly called items. Tasks in ClickUp may not have to be tasks and may not need to have those standard properties always attached to the task. The screenshot was so blurry, but it did highlight a really big change here that I was just barely able to see by skimming, like looking really close to the screen. The subtasks area on a task in ClickUp. You guys know what I'm talking about here. I wish I had a visual, but just picture the task, right? You click on a task, you open it. There's that subtasks header where it kind of introduces you to each of the subtasks below the main description. Well, in the screenshot that they showed, which again is just a mock-up, don't know when these things are coming out, it didn't say the word subtasks. It said relationships, which is starting to make me think that we're looking at more of a relational database instead of a task-subtask relationship. So that was a really interesting nugget that ties back into this whole idea of ClickUp becoming more of a true flexible database. Speaking of which, I got a screenshot for you guys here. It's very blurry, but can anyone see what that is? Just let you guys shout it out in the comments here. I want you guys to guess, those of you who weren't there, how many levels of nested subtasks are they releasing in ClickUp? 1, 2, 3. I mean, you can see at least 4 or 3 levels here. 7. 7 was the number that was announced today. 7 layers of nested subtasks. Now, I don't know if that was just someone speaking off the cuff, but 7 layers is what I heard in terms of the number of child tasks that you can have in your ClickUp. And these are all subtasks that actually show inside the task itself. And I didn't grab a screenshot of the actual task detail view, but pretty much the same visual you're seeing here is still what you're seeing in ClickUp. Yep, Kai, you gave away the answer. Barbara, you got it. Yeah, Kim, it lost me as well. This is the good stuff, I hope, the highlights. And Sarah, that's exactly how I felt. Siobhan, yeah, exactly. Can't wait to see clear images for that. We're going to know so much more once we can actually see the screenshots. So much of this is just based on looking really closely at the screen while it was flipped by for a layer. 7 layers, yeah. Are they also doing nested Jeremy, you can't keep giving away my punchlines. All right, guys, because Jeremy ruined it. Let's move on. You're going to see exactly that very soon. Before we get to that, I'll just go through the other features that are here. Events in ClickUp was highlighted. Now, this was already released last week. And like I said, I have a video coming out on the channel on Friday. It's already scheduled. It's in the system right now. It's not public yet. But on Friday, I'm going to be going deep into the Events in ClickUp feature and how I use it to time block. So this is already released. And very importantly, there's some updates to the current ClickUp to Google Calendar connection. So we're going to have, I'm hoping, some filtering, but at least some colors and some advanced segmenting that we can do to see what syncs out of ClickUp into Google Calendar. This includes color adjustment and the all-important availability settings. So for any of you guys who are using the calendar sync with ClickUp right now, where your ClickUp events go onto Google Calendar, well, right now, anytime you have a task and you don't have a start and end time, it blocks off your entire day as busy. And it just shows up as an all-day event that blocks your entire calendar, making it terrible for any of us who use an online scheduler. Yeah, so now that is going to be fixing at some point in 2021 with this new adjustment. And no worries, Jeremy, it's right here. You weren't that ahead of me as we go through this. And Luis also loves the events feature. I agree. It is good. You'll see my whole setup that I've already worked on over the weekend here. Now, I forget who was talking about email. I know there were several of you that were talking about email earlier on in the day. There we go. Add a breakdown. That's who it was. This is the email feature in ClickUp. Now, again, super blurry. So I'm going to translate this into hopefully a visual you can see. We are looking at the comment area in a ClickUp task here. And this comment area has a to, and it has a subject line, and it has the body of a text. I cannot tell if it has any dynamic fields, but they did mention repeatedly canned responses. And I would expect that down here in this little side arrow that we can just barely see, that's where we're going to get our canned responses from. And we've got a send email button, and it looks like an attachment button in that small little blur there. And basically, we can now send emails to clients directly from ClickUp. Now, I think this is going to rely on us having that information, the email address, in probably a custom field. I'm not sure how exactly you need this to connect, but I do know that this is originally starting out with only Outlook availability. So normally the G Suite users among us get early access to all of these kind of email-based features, calendar-based features, but Outlook users, it's your lucky day. We got events in ClickUp. You get email first. It's coming out in 2021, but it is there. So this is something to experiment with. They did not mention anything about ClickUp automations yet. I'm assuming that'll probably be a later in 2021 goal. I really want them to give me a create standard time of day when I don't use a start end time. Oh, yeah, Jeremy. There's a lot of requests. This goes back to Luis's comment about events and talking about the event calendar. There's definitely a lot of stuff that needs to be worked out, but I'm very happy about this availability piece for the calendar and just how this is shaping up so far. Now for the other stuff, because it's just so many other things that I just put them in a list here. Template Center. If you guys are interested in the Template Center, I'm going to be talking about the Template Center in one of the earliest sessions because I believe it was Sophia actually went through that feature. So as we work through the day here, you're going to see more about that Template Center. Folder statuses. folder statuses, that means that we are actually going to be able to have actual data connected to our folders. I've spent a lot of time in ClickUp community in the course side of things when I'm teaching people ClickUp of saying, stop obsessing over your hierarchy, because for the most part, your lists and folders and spaces really don't do that much. And I'm going to start eating my words, because if folders start to have statuses, which I would presume then lists will probably have statuses, much like the sprint list feature does now, well, that's going to change the equation a bit. So it's making you really regret making a course on a software that changes so frequently. So moving on, item types. I'm assuming this is referring to the actual task types. I didn't get specific notes on this one, but I'm assuming this is going back to making ClickUp more of a database. Nested formulas. I'm not sure, again, what they're specifically referring to here. This was kind of a rapid fire phase of it. So watch the replay for the details on this one. But I believe maybe this is referring to formulas of formulas when it comes to ClickUp custom fields. And they did also talk about more advanced formulas for dashboards, and also that advanced, the advanced formulas that we are going to already have in our custom fields. I have a video on advanced formulas in ClickUp coming out, I think, next week on the channel here, with a bunch of different use cases using roundup, ifs, and just labels, adding simple labels. So if you're looking for advanced or simple ClickUp custom field formulas and how terrible I think that feature is currently, check that out and then come here for a little respite that it's going to be a lot better soon. Next up, improved tables in Docs. This isn't a super exciting feature, but for those of you who use table feature, there you go. I think this again ties into that whole we want to be a database thing. And goals, which we talked about already, but I'm just giving you what they told us. Goals, again, are going to be more integrated with your actual tasks. As we go through here, or if you're looking at the notes again in the comments below, you can see these actual notes that I typed up if you want to jump ahead of me. I added my own commentary in blue throughout this live stream, although all of it's in my voice. But I'm very excited about this goals feature. And Kai, so are you. Totally get it. Rabia says, I add a lot of emails into tasks, so I have a record of clients' emails to me. Yeah, and right now it's not clear whether this new emails feature is going to be incoming or outgoing, incoming or outgoing. Oh, English is weird. My suspicion is that it's going to be outgoing initially, and then we're going to see it become more incoming. Like I think someone else talked about Dubsado earlier. We're probably going to have a sexier version of the Dubsado inbox. Troy asked, hey Troy, by the way, do you think they will be adding calculations in tables? I don't know. I don't have a strong sense of that. I didn't pick that up, but they are improving tables. I assumed it would just be improving the performance so they actually function properly, more like a Word doc table. But considering they're trying to replace Office Suite, I wouldn't be surprised if perhaps we see tables in ClickUp Docs actually replicating table view in ClickUp and being able to work in that same way. I actually don't have a clear sense on that, Troy. That's a really good question. And Troy, are there goals in ClickUp now? That's a good question. Not really, but yes, there is. In ClickUp, to make goals, you can go down to the bottom of the screen and actually go to the goals section. They're not very good. The other way that people manually do goals, and actually it seemed like from one of the blurry screenshots, ClickUp internally also does goals this way, is by having a dashboard where you collect tasks into either a portfolio, a list, a folder, something like that. And that's another way folks manage goals. But right now, yes, there is a goals feature in the bottom left corner, this left corner of your ClickUp account. And you can play with it. Right now, it's just so separate and it takes forever to actually use. So for those of you who are just hanging out for the headlines and you don't want to see more about the Template Center, you can leave us now and just tune back on Friday when I'm digging into the events in ClickUp feature. For those of you who want to see all of the stuff that happened, we're going to keep going. So we went through the product vision. We're just going to keep working backwards through the day because I think this was my favorite session of the entire one. So I try to get a screenshot of every single session, if you guys can't tell, just to give you a little bit of the feeling of the air. For those of you who weren't there, just imagine like Sims, like if you've played the video game Sims, that kind of like amped up elevator music playing the whole time in the background. And this session was between Tommy, David, Sachs, and Zeb. Tommy is the head of sales. David is an investor, and Zeb obviously is Zeb. And this was at least my note. This was the first interview of the day that actually felt like an interview. If there's a session in ClickUp or in this LevelUp conference that you want to watch to actually get some insights into how leadership is thinking in ClickUp, the way they're analyzing information and kind of what they view as the priority for 2021, this would be the interview I would watch. I would just jump right to this one because I think this was the most exciting session for me. I think mostly due to Tommy, who I don't know, but Tommy, if you're watching this, you did an excellent job facilitating. This was a very conversational session. Basically, we talked through this session and you immediately got the sense of enterprise, enterprise, enterprise. David's background, it seems to be focused on launching enterprise SaaS solutions in an environment where that wasn't a normal thing. This is where we started introducing the ideas of bottom-up growth into enterprise, which to translate that into human speak is just, we're going to start with small users and go to bigger teams through virality and people talking about it. There was a bunch of good topics of discussion that went through here, mostly about the philosophy being used to actually think about where we're heading next. Again, this is why I would say this would be the session to watch. This was nice and short. If you want to actually see how people are thinking about it, I could have watched this session for like 2 hours, but I think it was only 30 minutes. So there's that one. One of the key thought points, the key ideas that came out of this interview was this quote from Jim Barksdale. Hopefully I'm spelled that name right. There are only two ways to make money in business. One is to bundle. The other is to unbundle. And David made this quote, and I think this really guided the whole rest of the presentation. So all that stuff I just showed you is really reflecting this strategy. And that office suite metaphor first comes up in the conference here, and it continues to show up throughout the rest of the transition. Then there was some conversation about personal productivity and burnout. Basically, both of them are burnt out and overworked. Go figure. And we see a lot of mention of reliability, enterprise. What are we focusing on? Enterprise again and again and again, and some conversations about brain drain. So not a lot of exciting stuff there. There was a lot of discussion in this session and one of the earlier Q&As about investors in ClickUp, because as you guys know, ClickUp raised a Series A, and there was discussion throughout the entire day of, is this going to change how ClickUp thinks about things? And repeatedly, it was, no, we're going to stay the same, which is, again, one of the key takeaways I talked about at the beginning. However, I think it was Anne's point earlier, but we are seeing a shift. Despite what they're saying about things are exactly the same, we're never changing our focus is the same. I do think the long-term vision is the same, but the path to get there is becoming more clearly focused on the bigger users. Not a bad thing. As we've already talked about, there's a lot of bonuses to that. But for the rest of us, just something to watch out for. I just want to take some questions here. Just one from Kai. How would goals V2 be different? So we talked about this a little bit earlier on in the stream, Kai, probably right before you jumped on, but I would just say goals V2, jump earlier in the stream, but where I actually had, I think, a visual maybe, but goals V2 will basically be more integrated. Think of it as a portfolio widget. That's at least how I'm thinking about it without a clear visual myself, but it's going to be more integrated with the tasks and your OKRs. So that way you are actually being able to connect back your tasks and your micro level activities with your big picture activities, which is what we've all been asking for. So thank goodness. I'm very excited that that's coming out there. So just moving through, I'm just going to try to give you the meat of everything today. If you guys have questions about how anything went, please do leave it in the comments. I have notes for everything here. So the next session was with Vincent. This is a great session to watch if you actually want to see more behind the scenes, a demo into some of the future functionality of when the tasks are going to switch to items. So if you guys are interested in seeing an actual demo, this is one of the only sessions in the whole day where we actually got to see ClickUp. So if you want to see some of that in real life of how he's using these new non-task-based features, this would be that session to watch. So yeah, extremely blurry webinar. He talked about basically how to use ClickUp 101, ClickUp's calendar view. I'm trying to say anything else. The use cases of ClickUp's to not have tasks equal tasks. And then he went on at length about using ClickUp to replace Slack. Again, this is all relying on ClickUp tasks no longer being tasks, but he just went through a bunch of use cases on this. And what I thought was really interesting about this presentation and how it flowed in the day's events is that this whole use case was before they even introduced the fact that tasks would not be tasks anymore in ClickUp, or potentially could not be. So this was a really confusing flow of events, and that's the theme at the very beginning when I talked about the takeaways. One of them was, this is our first time doing this. Please don't be mad at us. This was one of those decisions where it was just kind of confusing as an audience member to watch and understand what the heck are they talking about. But if you want to see use cases of this newer version of ClickUp, which again, I would not necessarily recommend building out here. I wouldn't build out a CRM yet in ClickUp. I would not build out Slack-like channels in ClickUp unless you're patient and you don't have a lot of stuff going on. But these are some demos of the enterprise level features and some of the changes we're going to see. So Kai says, missed the beginning. Oh, no worries at all, Kai. Check it out when you can. But I have a little bit more details on the goals V2. Jeremy says, ClickUp seems to be moving so much faster than other SaaS I've used in their dev cycle. Jeremy, are you reading the doc? So urgency is the big theme of this session up here that we're going to get to, and how ClickUp uses ClickUp is right up here to talk about how quickly they ship. So there is some reason they give very vague, almost cookie cutter answers to this. It almost felt like reading a BuzzFeed article, which is kind of an apt analogy, which you'll discover why soon. But yes, Robbie says, do you think ClickUp 3.0 is going to be like learning a whole new system? Depends how well you know ClickUp 2.0. I think for the most part, ClickUp 3.0, if we want to call it that, or just ClickUp, right? Like it's coming into being, but yeah, let's call it 3.0. I think for most of us, it's going to feel like the easier way to do the stuff we've already been doing rather jankily in the current system. Using tasks as something other than tasks, many of us have already been doing that. Using a dashboard as our home view and ignoring home and inbox, many of us have already been doing that because we forced the system to work for us. And I want to think that ClickUp watching our behavior is why these changes are becoming normal. So I think for those of us who are already kind of pushing ClickUp, I don't think this will feel very foreign. I think it'll finally feel like a relief. For those of you who have switched to the new simple UX, the simple sidebar layout for ClickUp, for me at least, when I switched to that simple UX, I was like, finally, this is exactly how it should have been all along. And I have a feeling that if done right, and since they have a lot more funding now and a lot bigger team now, I suspect ClickUp 3.0 will be done right. If not the first time, maybe the second time. And it should feel that kind of effortless intuition. Right now, I do not consider the ClickUp interface intuitive at all because it is inconsistent. It's lacking basic accessibility features like localization and tooltips. So I think anything that they do at this point to mature the tool, to make it more suitable for an enterprise client, will probably make it more usable for anybody. With the big caveat being they might make it too bulky or too expensive for the rest of us. So that's always the concern. So Jeremy says, now I'm seeing the burnout comments. It's making me wonder. The culture conversation in this one, the culture conversation that came up is very clear why ClickUp develops things so quickly and probably why they don't have many hobbies. Moving onward. Meanwhile, I'm here at 6:30 at night recording this, so let's not judge. We won't throw stones in glass houses. So this tour with Vincent, like I said, went through this use case. One of the chat quotes I just want to call out here, because the chat was pretty brutal throughout this presentation. There was not a very positive vibe. Holly did a great job at keeping the energy up. And overall, one of the quotes I thought really captured the feeling at the end of this presentation is that this was one of the most useful parts of the conference so far. Going to have to start using ClickUp as a database for sure. Now, this, again, summarizes this session perfectly because it implies that things are going really well. And this was a really helpful session, which I agree with. But it's also implying that people are assuming that this future state of ClickUp is already here. And it is not. This is a future state that they are advertising as if it is a current state. Because I believe this whole event, personally, I believe this whole event is a enterprise sales pitch. So that's my thought. That's why I think it's so Steve Jobsian moments. So Troy says, agreed on the UX. The more they add, the more complex it is getting. Agreed. And there's not much cleanup happening. Even simple things like having the home button versus just having you click on the ClickUp icon to go home. It's just bizarre. White labeling. We can talk about a lot of this. Hotkeys. Oh, yes. Those kinds of things. Basic cleanup. Roman says, there's a weird dynamic and overlap between home, inbox, notifications, and dashboards. If this is addressed, this would help. Roman, if you were not here earlier, check out about 10 minutes ago. Someone else can help me with the timestamps, perhaps. I'll timestamp this as soon as we're done. We did talk about the new home and inbox combination, which is just this. So check it out. Rabia says, when you're in ClickUp, it feels like a foreign language. The first 2 weeks, you have no sense of what you're doing, and then you get it and it all makes sense. I agree. But I think there's things that ClickUp could do to make it not take 2 weeks. If you watch my most recent video on onboarding in ClickUp, you don't know how many curses I had to edit out of that video, guys. I'm a pretty happy lady, but that onboarding experience killed me. And I think that's the kind of stuff that it's not going to fly if ClickUp's going enterprise. So hopefully that'll benefit us all. So one session before this, we're just going to keep going before we get back. Let me give you a recap of where we're heading. There was this conversation with Dan and Neil. Then we went up to a boss panel, a Q&A, which was kind of light. Organic growth, talking about ClickUp's growth strategy, a Q&A with Zeb, the template library that I really want you guys to see. I think it's a really good one. And then just the intro stuff, which I will go through. So we're going to keep working our way upwards here. These ones will be pretty quick because they were respectfully very pointless. So Dan and Neil, I think these are both amazing people. I follow them online and I'm like, you know, fangirling a little bit because I think their content quality is so good. A 30-minute flash Q&A to a mixed audience was not the best way to experience these two people and their content and the value and knowledge they have to share. So you can go through and read this. I will not, because I think it was mostly pointless. This pretty much sums up the whole experience for me. Insert a bunch of very easy to Google tips he's already made lots of content about. This was just, I don't know. It was a kind of a pointless session. I think it was mainly just to sell tickets. So if you want to see this interview, go ahead. But if I were you, I would just read the blog posts instead. There we go. Done with that one. Moving on. No, seriously. Let me know if you guys disagree. Did you guys enjoy this session? There was a lot of comments saying people enjoyed it. So I think I might just be wired wrong on that one. But I was like, I just rather watch Neil's YouTube stuff than watch this. So, all right. So next up is the boss panel. Oh, Kai, thank you. Thank you for some validation. Kai says, the session had nothing to do with ClickUp. Yeah, I originally had in these notes saying, I wish this session here that you can't see on my screen, I wish that the marketing session with Neil was combined with the organic growth session with Aaron, because that would have been cool. I would have loved to see Neil and Dan and I can't remember who here is Aaron talk through ClickUp's organic growth strategy, dissect it, basically reverse engineer how it happened and why it worked. That would have been awesome. But instead, we just got this cookie cutter Q&A about what SEO is and why you should post on social media with a bunch of generic tips that seemed like a bad Gary Vaynerchuk video. So yeah, anyway, moving on, staying positive here, the boss panel. So this was one of our kind of our mid sessions of the day, which was a nice break. We had a little bit of something different going on. This session was a little bit bizarre, which you'll see if you go to watch Ask Evie's live stream that we did just like a reaction video immediately after this. We had 3 different folks come on and talk about ClickUp, I guess. Luci, Courtney, and Evie. Now, this is completely not me hating at all. All 3, when they got to speak, which was for about 90 seconds each, they filled those 90 seconds well. But I've never heard of it. I mean, I've heard of Evie. Evie's wonderful. Hi, Evie. But Luci and Courtney I've never heard of. And so these are supposed to be our ClickUp bosses. Yeah. But Evie's a vetted ClickUp consultant, so I appreciated her weighing in with some of her opinions based on actually working with teams. Luci and Courtney came at it from more of a personal use, how they or their teams use ClickUp. It felt a lot like the Neil session in that I'd rather just see them make a video on YouTube and I can watch it if I want to learn about that topic. As you go through here, and again, not to say anything bad about any of them, they all did their best with the format that was given, but I just questioned ClickUp's choice in format here. It just wasn't a great way to highlight their intelligence of the guests, because I'm sure they had a lot to share. But basically, it was a softball game of the most basic ClickUp features you could possibly imagine. What's the most underutilized feature? How have you customized ClickUp to be 10 times more productive? First of all, this is ClickUp's marketing claim, which is why a lot of people are saying that this whole event felt like a whole marketing pitch, because every single one of these questions, it almost felt like they were checking boxes in terms of what features had to be mentioned throughout the day. One of the guests talked about why mind map is a great feature. And I just, what? I don't know anybody who likes the mind map feature. I'm sure there's some of you here. Please let me know. Do you guys like the mind map feature in the comments? Give me your thoughts, because I hate it. I think it is completely unusable. But some of the time, it just felt like they were knocking off features that they could highlight in a more of a marketing sense. And having this marketing claim in here, are you going to tell me that Luci, Courtney, and Evie each measured their productivity to see what made them 10 times more productive? No. So why are we making our people, our honored guests, lie in order to be on our live stream? That's just bizarre. Troy, I can't believe it. I feel betrayed. It's okay. Troy likes mind maps. Louise does not like mind maps. Barbara, there are nicer options, but it's useful to me. Okay, now we need a tiebreaker here. We've got 3 different directions this is going. I think you can like what you like, I guess, but I was really surprised by that one. And then there was this question, which personally, as a female business owner, I felt very uncomfortable by it being asked, and whatever, say whatever you want. But it was basically asking, how much time did it take you to become an expert in ClickUp? And I think the intent of the question was to say how easy it can be to be a ClickUp expert, or how easy it can be to learn ClickUp. I think that's the angle, because all of these questions were very much focused on marketing softballs. But this particular question, the way it was delivered or the way it was received, it came off as a please qualify your expertise to us. don't like that really. I don't think that was an effective thing to ask folks in a 90-second answer. And I don't think it's a very kind thing to ask in front of 12,000 people. So that was a questionable strategy that I really wish they would have reflected on a little bit before asking. That was a major disappointment here. And it really ended the session on a bad note for me, at least. And in between all this, a lot of marketing fluff. But hey, all these folks, I'm sure they're wonderful. If you want to check them out here. But we're going to keep moving through the rest of the day. Oh, wait, no. Before we do, I'm going to chime in some people who agree with me. Hey, Stacy, Vetty, ClickUp consultant here. Mind map is clunky. I agree. I'm on whimsical train these days. Cameron says, totally useless as a mind map tool. I wouldn't mind it if you could actually connect things back to each other. But how many mind maps actually just keep forking and never come back together? Jeremy says, I'm trying to learn to like it. It's hard compared to Xmind or MindJet or MindMeister, though. I like the name MindMeister, though. I wish I had a better name than Mind Map. I'm still stuck on whimsical, guys. I can't, after leaving Mural, I cannot get past it. So we're going to keep moving through here. Oh, Barbara. Yeah, me too. So let's go through this other session. This was what I would categorize as a pointless session. So hopefully you can watch my 2-minute recap here and skip watching it. Basically, this was Aaron, the director of marketing, talking about how ClickUp grew organically. I just want to say the sessions I'm saying are pointless are just because they were very topical. Aaron did a fantastic job delivering this. No insults to ClickUp at all, but it just wasn't adding a lot of value to me as a listener personally. So they broke down the growth of ClickUp into 3 categories: product-led growth, user-led growth, which are typically just clustered together as virality of some kind, and content-led growth. And yeah, basically, I didn't even take any notes on most of it. Mainly, it was a ton of plugs about our core values are so wonderful. You're so valuable. We're never going to leave you. We have investors now, but we still love you. And it was just this weird marketing spiel for the entire time. It was run by the marketing department, so I guess I can't be upset. And then they just kept explaining what SEO was. Yeah, so there's that one. Again, they kept mentioning these core values, which to me made them think that they were anticipating some of the questions we've already had about, is this move to enterprise going to affect the rest of us? I don't know if I was tuning out or was typing too much, but they just kind of segued into this special announcement that I wasn't sure why it was supposed to be special. Well, I kind of know, but anyway, Melissa Rosenthal, who is going to become, I think, becoming ClickUp, the chief creative officer to really take over that content-led growth of ClickUp. They introduced her as the big announcement. So here's another announcement for those of you who are marketing nerds. Basically, here's Melissa. If you go to the notes in the comments below, you can actually go to this document. You'll find the page and you can get to the link to her LinkedIn and the company she runs currently. Interesting to me, when they introduced her as a person who'd worked with Cheddar and BuzzFeed. And then I went to her LinkedIn and she currently has her own startup. So it's interesting to me that they tried to skip that. I guess they wanted to make her seem more focused on just ClickUp, but whatever. There's that. She's not currently listed as working at ClickUp on her LinkedIn, which again, just caught me by eye there. But basically the whole vision from what I understood from her segment was around having ClickUp become a content business, which if you watch Gary Vee or most marketers online, every business is a content business. So no shocker there that they're going to get this as part of the new investment that they're going to be doing in the sustainability of the brand. Her vision is to create an internal world-class agency. So no longer offboarding, oh my gosh, outsourcing content like a lot of other SaaS companies. She's actually gonna be focusing on building out a world-class team. Now, I actually don't have ClickUp's career page open here, but I think this is a really good data point for those of you who are still watching. I'm sure you're just as nerdy about this as I am, but I like to check the actual careers page of ClickUp. I forget who said it. I'm a cheerful spy, but I like to, go through their career page, and you can actually see based on this page where this vision is directly being sourced. Right here, this marketing department is being fully outfitted with a full service agency, it looks like, and including, as Kai's pointing out here, a podcast. So, because we need more podcasts. But I guess, do we need more productivity conferences? Maybe not. The emphasis is going to be more user stories and case studies. It was glorified in this whole, you're going to write our next story thing. Marketing. And they're launching a new series called ClickUp Stories, where you can actually contribute 60 seconds of a DIY video where you talk about your ClickUp story, how ClickUp's making you more productive. Basically, you do a sales pitch and you submit it here and you can be featured on social media. If you guys want to join this, go to the comments, get the stock, and you can be a spokesperson for ClickUp. There you go. 3 questions to participate is just what are you building on? What are you building? What are you working on? What's the most challenging part of scaling it? And what are you doing with ClickUp? And how does that give you a day back each year? It's, again, trying to give them some marketing fodder, especially for those enterprise folks where they want to get in front of the employees who will then bring it into the whole institution, which goes back to that bottom-up growth section. Throughout the chat in this entire session, there was a lot of pitches from the ClickUp support team for coaching offered in-house through ClickUp, which again, I think is an enterprise sales pitch right there. And as well as ClickUp Swag. If you guys want ClickUp Swag, the link is also in this doc here. So you can go to the comments below this video, you'll see the doc and you can grab it. Yeah, so there's that one. And as Kai already said, there's a podcast coming out and more of a, I'm forgetting the word, sequential series of content coming out from ClickUp. So that'll be interesting to see what that looks like. Don't worry, I'll still be here, give my own little unbiased commentary. Okay, Roman asks, what I liked about ClickUp was their interaction with user feedback and willingness to implement user ideas. You know how the end of Game of Thrones sucked and Star Wars sucked? If only they listened. Yeah, but Star Wars sucked and they still made money. See, that's the problem. Yeah, no, I think this is a great point. And I think that's something they were trying to remind us of every single time they mentioned the word enterprise. It was like a 2-to-1 ratio. They'd say enterprise and then 2 times they'd say, but we listen. And this whole ClickUp stories thing is really about that as well. They might not be listening to our feature requests as strongly as they might a huge contract from an enterprise company. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I know who I'd be listening to, but at least we'll have a podcast for us. So there we go. So that's their organic growth. It just goes over the overall story. And in here, there's kind of their mission statement, which is actually pretty interesting for anyone here who is a marketing person. Again, you can go to view this actual doc. I will be taking it down not long after the stream. So I would make sure you check this out while you're watching here. But they also showed the growth trajectory of ClickUp relative to Monday and Asana. So if any of you are doing a comparison of ClickUp versus Monday and Asana, which this is me just, come on, YouTube ads, give me some Monday ads here. But they did a comparison and projected the growth of ClickUp to outpace Asana and Monday very quickly, despite having less funding and reaching a level of growth in a much shorter period of time. Mostly due to, like they talked about, having a good product, having users who are really geeky and soon content more so than what they already do. So let's go up to the next section, which was a Q&A with Zeb. This was a painful session. This was a painful session. And so let's take a beat before we go in here and read some comments. So those of you watching, leave me some of your thoughts here. What do you think so far? Are you worried about the enterprise thing? Are you consoled by the core values of ClickUp? Let me know what you got going on here. I'm going to read through some comments before we dive into this painful session. Troy says, okay, I see that Whimsical is way better than Mind Maps. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, guys, Whimsical. I wish I had an affiliate link. If I did, just email Whimsical and say I sent you. Not that I'll get anything, but get a free Whimsical account and embed it into ClickUp. That's why I wish ClickUp was trying to be the app that connected it all rather than replaced it all. Kai, love your unbiased review of LevelUp. Yeah, I try, man. I don't want to be biased as I'm digging in deeper and deeper. So I hope you guys will hold me accountable through that. Jeremy says, new strategy to get the features I want, get 3 or 4 enterprise customers as an affiliate, then drive internal feature requests internally really hard. See, this is the kind of thinking that will get us somewhere, Jeremy. I'm thinking about my own strategy here. Not doing any done for you implementation right now, but maybe I need to take on a few enterprise giants again. I feel spoiled. I do have an enterprise plan right now. Sorry, guys, but still. All right, so let's keep going through here. Let me just show that we got 4 sessions left. We've got the Q&A. Just Mike's, all right, I gotta show this. Mike says, skip the awful Q&A with Zeb. I'm gonna give you the highlights because I have to let you know how terrible this was. As much as I loved Holly's moderation throughout the day, and if you didn't know, Holly is a coach inside ClickUp, which basically means customer support, provides free ClickUp consulting. And this session was painful. You can watch it if you really want to, yeah, so bad. Dumb dad jokes about Zeb's shirts again. Every standard question. Oop, you can't see my screen. Dumb dad jokes up here. And then every standard question you've already heard Zeb answer again and again, to which he responded with the same cookie cutter answers he gives again and again when asked the same questions. Just what happens when you have an interview done by someone that isn't an interviewer, which I'm not either, but Man, was this painful. So I'm not going to go through all of it, but you can see my nice little notes here that everything has been asked a million times. More generic dad jokes about shirts. Then this is the part that I actually did enjoy. Zeb took over about halfway through and was like, I'm just going to answer the chat on my own. So he did go through and answer some of the questions, talking about mind mapping in ClickUp, basically saying they're there. Why did ClickUp take funding? How did we reach so many people? Again, a lot of standard questions, but at least some of our questions were being answered. Up to this point, every single thing was just a scripted, again, marketing style question. I'm going to end up with some good stuff here. Lots of core value plugging here and generic marketing. Blah. It was just, why were you on this call? It made you really sad that live events don't have 2 times speed, which I'm hoping you're not feeling right now, because I'm told I already talk at 2 times speed. So hopefully you are. Let me know if you're still awake at this point in the live stream, an hour in, give me an emoji in the chat. Actually, I should just pause. Let me know you're awake before we move on, because I don't want to be the thing that I'm criticizing. Okay, moving on. And then again, stupid questions like, what's your favorite ClickUp feature? And then this comment, which I don't know who put this in here. I'm going to see if I can find it, because I just thought it was so good and it summed it all up. I don't know if this was your comment. If you were the person that left these comments, feel free to claim them in the comments, because I would love to hear it. But ignore that first one. I just screenshotted too wide. But I thought this conference would be more interactive. This is really just a TED Talk. It's a marketing show. I don't know who put these questions in there or these comments into the chat. I thought they were just delightful. Oh, good. We've got some emojis coming in here. Cody's still here. Oh, good. Siobhan's still awake. Melanie's alive. Stacy's here. I'm not going to try to pronounce your name, but I appreciate the emoji. Roman is awake. Woo! Jeremy's still there. I am at 2 times. I tried to get 2.5. After watching how slow this was today, I can't take a 0.75 speed anymore. So this was pretty much the summation of the Q&A with Zeb. Yeah. If ClickUp does this event again, personally, what I would like to see is a digest session. What Works, if any of you are familiar, I'm going to just give a shameless plug. Tara McMullin and the What Works Network does a lot of live events, and they're very experienced in them. And one of the best things that they do in their live events is they have a digest session. And rather than a Q&A asking new questions, it's a Q&A decompressing and unpacking what you just heard earlier in the day. So ClickUp, by some miracle, if someone from ClickUp is watching this, that'd be cool. Hey guys, I would love to see that here, so that we can actually digest some of this. We were talking to Evie on the live stream earlier on, and no time to digest, let alone go to the bathroom. This was a crazy day and really hard, I would imagine, for any new user to really follow. Darren, hello in Australia. Luis, hello. And Cameron, hello. Good to see you guys here. So there's just my shameless ask to ClickUp. Give us a digest session. Hire What Works to help you. They did a fantastic job on all of their events. And hey, if anyone wants an online network, couldn't recommend them more. Okay, so finally, one of the first new features they talked about, the last one that we're going to unpack here today, is the template and app centers. Whew, okay, water break real quick here. These are good ones. And actually, let me go into the thing so you can see bigger pictures as we do this. Okay, so template libraries with Sophia from the webinars. You want to talk about talking at 0.75 speed? Sophia, I don't know you. I know you're so smart, but you talk so slow, and I can't, the East Coast in me can't compute. This was a very slow session, but if you can watch the replay at a faster speed, I'd highly recommend it. She did a great job of talking through in great detail how exactly this feature works. But as you can see here, just barely, this is going to be our new template center in ClickUp. Let me know if you guys can see that okay in the comments. We've got just barely visible here. When you go to create a template, now rather than having to go to a space to get a folder template, a list to get a list template, a task to get a task template, and always never being able to seem to find your folder templates, now there's going to be one central template library, which is just a no-brainer, right? We're really excited that this is here. And let me just make it even bigger for you. And if you look very closely at this blurry area, you see in the top left corner here, it says templates. And below that, it says your workspace name, I believe. Maybe it's a space, but I think it's workspace, then ClickUp. So basically, this is replacing our current template options of the ClickUp templates and our own templates. Along the left-hand side, we have more of a shopping style checkbox system where we can actually choose what type of templates we are looking at. Folder, I can't see what the heck that says. Folder, something, space, list, table, no, task, and view. Sorry, I'm trying to interpret the blur. So these are the types of templates that you'll be able to segment by, almost like tags. And each of these templates will be here. And yeah, it'll just be easier to navigate through. There's going to be a more sophisticated search functionality and the ability to sort by who created the template. Now, here's where the letdown happens. In all of this excitement, actually, no, let me tell you more good news, and then we're going to go into the bad news, because you know I've got bad news on this one too. Yeah. Okay, let's just go through more good news. Good news, I hope. Let me know. You guys can let me know you want good news or bad news first, because I got a lot more come in. So this template center is going to be in one modal regardless of template type, and it will allow you to preview your templates in the template center. So currently, in order to see your templates, you need to create the template and hope it's actually showing you the correct thing. In this new version, you'll be able to preview templates, which is actually a feature request or something I personally remember sending to ClickUp a while back saying, please stop showing us the ugly screenshots of your templates. I'm going to preview my own template. And it is here. Woohoo. I'm going to pretend that they listened to me, but I know they didn't. They just, do what they do. But I'm really excited about this feature being here so we can actually see what the heck we have in our templates. When you're editing templates, there's also supposedly a change in how easy it is to edit templates. However, when they actually went through the workflow of demonstrating how that would work, it did not seem to be any meaningful change. It's just slightly different in how you save over your existing templates. So in terms of a wet blanket on this feature, the editability still seems like it's going to be clunky and very like Windows 2000 in terms of having to save over old files and just hope your history is saved there. In this whole new template feature, which was all, hyped up and stuff, there's still no version history or dating for your templates. As far as I saw, again, it was super blurry. Maybe they just didn't talk about it, but there's no dating. So while they talk about this new feature, including a description, which is a big change, you now have your template title and your template description, which is all searchable, which is great. They talked about how you no longer have to have weird naming conventions to sort your templates, to which I'm delighted by, except for the fact that if they're not being able to actually know when we have updated that template, then we still need to have naming conventions to say what version of this template it is. When was it last edited? I want to see so badly, guys, upvote this feature if you can help me here. I really want to see activity history, change history on all of our templates. I want to see who has access to it more clearly, which they have addressed and they're going to be working on, which I'm excited about. Template creation to be easier, which again, they're working on. But I want to understand what's in our template and how often that's been adjusted, because otherwise we're still going to need to have weird naming conventions. So, rant. All right, breath. Another downside is that they're going to allow us to start categorizing our templates by tag. Oh, gosh, I think Mike Rogers, Mike, you said you were here somewhere, I think I saw your name. We've had some conversations recently about how time in ClickUp is tracked with labels, right? And these labels are completely separate of the other area in ClickUp, your other labels, your other tags. And this time tracking, having its own labels, is completely non-functional. And I'm worried with what they're talking about here with our templates, we're going to have the same problem where we're going to have a separate database of tags that are only used in templates that aren't searchable, don't connect to anywhere else, and just create one more thing that you have to type in to segment by, rather than just having something more logically inherited by your space. So let me take a breath and read some comments here. Jeremy says, Layla is 2 times. Yes, indeed, sir. I'm proud of it. Louise says, if ClickUp changes too much, will that mean all the work I've done building my ClickUp account will be a waste of time? Probably not. I would say it's always an adjustment, right? All of these changes sound exciting, but there's no chance in hell that ClickUp is ever just flipping the switch and bringing this stuff on. ClickUp's been very good about always leaving older features on. So I think what we should expect, which this is what we get for signing up for ClickUp, we're going to see weekly adjustments, monthly adjustments to your setup. And they should be more of a gradual transition, less so a switch shift that we need to change everything overnight. That's at least my take, Louise. I can't predict. I don't have much more information than you do. I'm just trying to read between the lines here. Troy says, good point on the version history. Yeah, come on. This seems like the given when it comes to templates here. Rabia says, I never got used to the templates and just ignored them, working around them, or built what I wanted to. You and most people. The only reason we can't totally just skip templates in ClickUp is because of those damn automations and templates. Those two things go hand in hand. And so if you want to use ClickUp automations with templates or ClickUp forms, you need to use their templates. And so Yeah, that's why we bite the bullet. But if I wasn't, if I wasn't working on a team or if I wasn't using automations or forms, I'd probably skip their template features as well. And I think Siobhan, you're probably going to be talking about what I was about to say as well. Are we going to be able to edit them right from the template library? Now, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think from your take of the session. I probably would need to watch the replay to really answer this question. But from my impression, at first, she made it sound like we'd be able to edit them from the template library, almost like an editor view. But when I saw the screenshot mockups, which for those of you who weren't there, every single session today, almost all of them were pretty marketing mockups and not the actual system, which made it much less helpful. But what I remember seeing on the screen was that it was still going to be saving over. So the only difference was how you saved over. It was a different dropdown that rather than just being a dropdown that you type in to select what template you're saving over, instead it was a searchable area. So actually I can show you here. So here on this small area, when you went to save over your template, you just got this kind of window rather than just typing in. So you had a fully searchable area. That was really the only difference I saw. The implication was that there would be better, but that was not the case. Melanie, from the enterprise side, templates are life. Very excited they will be all in one place with the larger groups to organize. I feel like that categorization is meant to help here. There. Blah. I think you are exactly right. As well as several of the other features, which I hope I hit on or maybe I passed through. But there's going to be a lot more. Oh, actually, that's coming up next year. Some more enterprise features, which are going to trickle down to the rest of us because trickle down works. Okay, next. Roman says, wouldn't be time wasted. All the time spent analyzing your workflow helps you understand how you function and learn. Totally agree. I just wish there was a little bit better maintenance of templates. Right now, they still feel like a task management system handling templates. They do not feel to me like the level of seriousness that Reich or Process Street treats their templates. Those two tools, particularly Process Street, really focuses on the template, whereas ClickUp, I think, is more focused on action. Probably in no small part due to the actual wiring of the team being very fast and sprint focused, and we're going to burn out and work at all hours and all that stuff. I doubt the team itself thinks about processes the same way that many of us do. And so I think that's part of why this feature is developing the way it is. Yeah, it makes sense. Let me know what you think, Siobhan, when you actually go through it. I want to stop keeping a live template for editing. Don't many of us. I think it goes back to ClickUp not having many processes themselves, but as they grow up here, and I think, again, a spillover of enterprise, they're going to need to get more of their shit together. And I think that's going to come with them seeing processes as more of an essential piece of their own business. And while we haven't seen much about how they work, I imagine they're not using that feature as much either. So they don't feel our pain, Siobhan. I don't think, at least. All right, so there's some more stuff here. Template Center. All right, next one. Community templates. So for those of you who saw this, I'm curious what you guys think about community templates. It's basically the idea of a ClickUp template marketplace. It's just funny. They phrased it as a new feature, but as I highlight right here, which again, you can go to this doc in the comments. I have my link, but they've been collecting these via their help doc for, it says over a week ago, for over a year, I would bet. This has been here for as long as I can remember, where they have this doc where basically you can submit your template and it can be added into the ClickUp template library, but now they're formalizing it. And my concern here is, as you might expect, no compensation for creators. It seems like they're following more of the model of Mural, where there are public templates that kind of are branded in some way, particularly crowdsourced. So you have a lot of high volume, low quality templates. Not to say that will happen, but it might happen. And yeah, based on the preview, it's going to look similar to Mural, where those actual templates show up in search results as a marketing scheme once again. And your whole thing is, I don't know if any of you guys watch The Future. Chris Stowe, he has some really great content on design and running a design and art-based business. But one of the things he talks about is brand recognition. And basically this whole template marketplace is built on the back of you guys creating and giving away your templates for free on the purposes of altruism, right? And also wanting to get brand recognition. So they're going to put your template on the marketplace and have it be available for other people in exchange for you getting no compensation and helping them rank higher in search. Yeah. So not a paid marketplace, but it's a marketplace and it's a way to grow organically. It'll be interesting to see how that rolls out to their enterprise use case, but maybe this is a bone thrown for the smaller users. I'm not crazy about that feature, but I'm sure it'll help a lot of people. Next up, App Center. This is another one that'll tie into what Melanie was talking about with the enterprise side. This App Center is basically them combining all of their integrations and connected resources into one spot that you can toggle on or off. If you guys watched my onboarding video earlier this week or last week, I actually created a new ClickUp account for the first time in a while and went through their onboarding, and it was just a total, just terrible experience, a total mess. And they ask you to integrate tools 4 different times throughout the process. And in theory, this App Center, I don't know if it'll be preventative, but at least on the back end, it will give you one place to monitor all the different integrations and connection points you have with your ClickUp account. If you're on the enterprise plan, you'll even be able to set which integrations can be turned on or off. So you could say for your workspace, for example, you're allowed to integrate your personal Dropbox or not. You're allowed to integrate with Harvest or Zendesk, or you're not. So again, more enterprise features here. And then they went through every single current integration, again, more as a sales and marketing thing. The concern here is that this is going to start feeling like QuickBooks Online and Shopify. While I mentioned this earlier, I believe, ClickUp is looking at moving towards being a platform, which is going to allow people to develop their own apps that connect to ClickUp as ClickUp's, as tasks, as views. I probably should have mentioned that earlier, but here you go, another bonus. So they're going to allow people to develop on top of it, making it feel almost like a WordPress plugin. That's kind of my impression, or Shopify or QuickBooks Online's apps, Shopify, etc. As you see here in my notes, I have some concerns about the quality of this, but this is their move of becoming that standard, that workplace that connects everything. So, Jeremy adds in here, I could see using templates as consultant branding as well, as long as there's enough space for some writing. Yeah. Oh no, why so salty, Layla? You present the features like ClickUp is the enemy. I think that's disagree. You got to watch the whole thing, right? I've got my happy moments too, but I think it's important that we don't present this in a biased way. There's definitely positives and negatives to all of this. And I think overwhelmingly, we've seen nothing but positive all morning. I'm trying to keep it real. I'm trying to share my perspective here and give you a little bit of realism that hopefully this averages out to being connected, or not to be connected, I'm reading their thing, to be an average, right? So if we combine ClickUp's super glowy marketing fluff with my maybe not so glowy stuff, we'll hopefully find a nice middle ground. Note here from Kai, I thought the vision was to have one app to replace them all. Why are they adding more apps? This ties into the Q&A with Zeb, where he actually talked about again and again and again about the desire to make ClickUp unopinionated. And I think this does kind of relate back to making it more like a WordPress. They didn't use this word, but I'm just putting this in here about the idea of making it adaptable. And so that flexibility is where that apps are solving the problem. And the app to replace them all, by being able to build a plugin, I'm just going to use that term, by being able to build a plugin for ClickUp, you can avoid having to use another tool in combination with ClickUp. And so I think that's kind of where the platform perspective is coming from. But also, if you really want to replace Slack, you need to be able to add an add-in of some kind, an add-on to give you that Slack-like functionality and so on. So I think that's kind of where they're coming from, Kai. Yeah, so keep going. How ClickUp uses ClickUp to ship super fast. So I think there was a question earlier on from Jeremy about how does ClickUp do this? In theory, this session would answer that question. Just skip to the last 5 minutes of the presentation. It repeated itself a lot. I think it was probably because the presentation was designed, it seemed like it was designed for Alex. Yeah, he had a lot of good stuff to share, but I think it probably could have been shared very concisely and to the point in about 5 minutes, which he did at the end. And most of the beginning is just reiterating at a slower pace. So for those of you, I know if you can put up with my talking, you can put up with a fast pace. Just skip to the last 5 minutes. And he basically talks about how they use a modified agile method. They have a weekly meeting to celebrate wins. They have widgets to help them report on things. And really the context of the conversation tells you a little bit more about how quickly they talk about things. And similarly to Zeb, Alex talked about the main focus being on that reliability, scalability, and performance. Even more so than Zeb, I would say. Zeb still had that shiny features being, peppered in, but Alex did a good job of really focusing on that promise and going through how they deliver it in a very basic way. This had a nice Sims soundtrack leading into it again, but I would say if you want to just see how they're using it in a very basic way, you can watch this. I was disappointed that this section didn't show ClickUp at all. Again, it just showed a screenshot that even from the conversation, you could tell that it wasn't the actual dashboard that they used. It was just a mock-up by marketing, it seemed like, of a simplified, similar way that they use it. This was much more of a sales method, but it gives you a little bit more. And you can also go to the blog post that was mentioned a few times during this session to talk specifically how they use ClickUp. You can probably just look it up, that ClickUp's, how ClickUp uses ClickUp. It's a blog post they have on their website. All right, then we're at our last session of the day. So if you guys have any questions, this is your last chance to ask it. We're going to go through this one, then we're going to wrap it up. Welcome Keynote with Zeb and Holly. basically, we met both of the folks. Zeb opened it up with a big old announcement, and then Holly took over. Key moments, not really a lot exciting here. We talked about the 2021 goalposts, really the things that we're focused on. This is where the sales pitches really started about we are going to be reliable and safe, and we're listening, and we're sorry for the things we've screwed up. A lot of time here was spent on talking about their excellent customer service, which is a core value that they hold. It's never one that, for me, has lived up to my experience with ClickUp. I don't doubt that they mean well, and I don't doubt that that's going to improve. If nothing else, based on this chart, once again, we've got, I guess we don't have that many people being hired right now for service, do we? But they had a huge hiring spike of service reps. And I have no doubt with especially the real-time chat support 24/7, that's going to be regional, coming to ClickUp, this is going to get better, but certainly not the case right now. Yeah, some cheesy commentary, but that's pretty much it. That was the LevelUp conference. Some of the features I know I didn't mention, but are important, and I'm sorry for the construction noise in the background here. They did also mention localization is going to be coming, so multiple languages in ClickUp. And if you really want to get more of those highlights, I would go to the replay, which whenever that's going to be ready, and watch the actual open air here. So Jeremy adds in, I love the cautionary thoughts for someone experienced. It's easy for noobs like me to get caught up in the glowy marketees. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm sorry that we upset you here being a little salty, but I promise they're not the enemy. We're just trying to figure out the way to strike the balance and protect ourselves and the businesses we're trying to run, and also challenge them, right? This is how they get better and how we can all build a better tool together. They say they're listening, but they only listen if we're loud, especially if we're going to start being, outnumbered in some way by Goliath. So I'm trying to do my democratic duty here. Roman says, honestly, I'm mainly waiting for a reliable Android app. Roman, did you hear that earlier? I'm going to repeat it for those of you who haven't. Next week. Mobile app is here next week. So you'll be good on that front. And the dedicated iPad app is coming later on. Any other questions, guys? I'm going to keep going through these because if you join late, you might have missed one of them. I'm going to try to think of any other things. I know we've got Stacy, Yvonne, any other ClickUp consultants or just other ClickUp geeks. If there's anything I missed, can you leave it in the comments here so we can flash it up on the screen? All right, Louise says, bummed that Gmail isn't going to be available to ClickUp, the new Click app, just yet. Was looking forward to that. Yeah, for those of you who were not there, email is going to be in ClickUp. Great. I believe they said Q1 2020, 2021. I keep saying that wrong. But they did say that they released the app to Google, I believe, for approval, and it's been pending for a long time. So it doesn't sound like it's in ClickUp's court, which is concerning. But hey, we can all switch to Outlook, right? All right. Ada breakdown. Yep, you're back to, see, you started on the email chain and you're back on the email chain, Ada. So I think we are definitely satisfied with email. Ada, I hope you are using Outlook. So this enthusiasm is not misplaced. Jeremy says, thank you. I'm really glad I showed up here instead of going to the conference. Yeah, hour and a half. We got through like 6 hours of content. Hopefully we gave you the highlights, but do watch the replay. Everything I'm saying here is my interpretation of events. So those of you who want to dig deeper, I will timestamp some of this stuff and maybe give some more notes here so that way you can know what you do want to see the real stuff of. Because some of these I really, really enjoyed. Some of them, not so much. Jeremy, another testimonial to ClickUp. Yeah, talk about not listening. Agreed, watch almost all of your content. You do a great job. I'm glad ClickUp is all in one though, or all in all though. Used 40 plus project management software. It's the only one with so much user focus. Could not agree more. And I think this is how they hear us. So thank you for sharing that. And I know we've got so much stuff that we could possibly cover. And there's so many positive things that you're going to be hearing about every single week in your damn inboxes. So I want to give you a little bit of leveling out here. Rum missed the first half. You know what? No worries if you miss the first half, because we've got happy stuff in the first half that makes your life a little bit easier. So definitely check that out, because that mobile app, for those of you who joined us late here, new mobile app next week, Android, iOS coming, as well as email, template center, app center, all this good stuff, enterprise focus, podcast, content series, more LevelUp events every single year, it sounds like, or at least the intent is every single year. ClickUp coaches, which are hopefully not going to replace ClickUp consultants. Who knows? We'll see. Hopefully you guys keep us around, and hopefully we have some utility here. Siobhan says, your notes are amazing. That's a good time to call this out again. For those of you who have not joined us earlier on, in the comments below this video, and it will not be here forever, I have notes of my live ClickUp doc, of what I've been typing on. I was actually live typing, live note taking during the entire conference. So if you want to go to the notes and actually see what I was kind of processing throughout the day. I have not proofread them. I haven't censored them. Hopefully you find them respectful enough while still being balanced. You can actually steal the notes that I've had up on the screen here throughout this presentation so that you can see them for yourselves. They will not be up there forever. So check them out. And if you want to steal them, copy and paste that stuff, make it your own. Maybe I'll make a doc template if you guys really want so you can have them. Kai appreciates the notes. You got it, man. As you guys go through there, the blue notes are my own ad libs. Don't put those words in ClickUp's mouth and get me in trouble. Louise says, no one can replace you. Oh, thank you, Louise. I hope that is true. We shall see. I think I'm irreplaceable in my own special way. So thank you guys so much for joining me here today. I think we're going to wrap it up there. I'll see you guys in the comments. And Stacey, sorry, just saw your comment come through here. You did a fantastic job of debriefing Layla. Thank you guys. If you want to see some reactions from ClickUp consultants who had some reactions to the day, I know Siobhan, you were on there. I don't know who else was on there. Gabriel was on there, Anne and Evie. You can head to Ask Evie's channel and you'll see her video where she kind of did a reaction. I was on there for the first 10 minutes or so before I had to pop over here. But if you want a more ad-libbed reaction, I haven't watched it all yet, but I'm sure it's really good. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me here. Come back on Friday for a events in ClickUp tutorial. Next week for an advanced formulas tutorial. And join the Facebook group if you want to keep chatting at processdriven.co/ClickUp. I am now officially exhausted. And I'm going to put this link up here, and then I am going to go do anything else. So processdriven.co/group. And if you want to try out ClickUp, which I'm sure many of you already have, and you want to be super awesome and support my channel while doing it, you can go to /ClickUp, and you can actually sign up with my affiliate link for ClickUp. And that gives me a little bit of bonus content and compensation for doing these. I would appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anything. But if you're already using ClickUp, that's cool too. Just come to the Facebook group and we hang out there and we do live streams like this fairly regularly, besides just chatting about all things ClickUp. So with that, have a great evening, everybody. Thank you guys all for coming in. And we got one more question. All right, we're just gonna do more. Darby says, could you speak a little bit more about the following comment? Zeb highlighted the benefits of box tools without using that term. All right, this one's for the Notion nerds out there. Last one. One of the talking points was that Zeb was trying to basically make a sales pitch for why ClickUp is better than tools like Notion and tools that are more flexible. And he basically made the argument that having less adjustable features was to ClickUp's advantage, which is not often that you hear ClickUp being positioned as the less flexible tool. But when you compare it with tools like Notion and Airtable, it is indeed much less flexible. So I think that was his attempt to position ClickUp in the marketplace of true database tools and kind of present how ClickUp has an edge on that, because it is a box tool, meaning it's not fully customizable. It has a set hierarchy. And non-box tools, no-code tools like Coda, Notion, Airtable, those really, that you just start off with a blank page and you can build anything you want. And Zeb considered that unproductive because an expert is not building out the structure for you, versus in ClickUp, the expert is building out the structure so you can just kind of pop on and get to it. So Sherwood says, so great. Oh, good to see you again, Sherwood. It's been a while. Barbara, good to see you again. Stacy, you've had a long, so have you. It's been a long day for everybody here. Kai says, thank you for the recap. Go get coffee. I'm going to get something stronger, Cameron. It's that time of day. All right, guys, I will see you around the channel. Thanks so much. And yeah, be sure to subscribe. Bye.